First time here at all?
This is, yeah.
It's your first time. Welcome. So let me ask you, as you're doing conventions and things like that, do you ever, is it basically airport, hotel, convention center, airport, and then go back home? Or do you ever get a chance to go out and do things, hit the restaurants up, see anything local?
It's mostly airport, hotel, convention, but when I can, I'll try to take another day or two and see the city. Unfortunately, it's not the case this time, but hopefully I'll come back and do that.
So have you been able to go out and eat anywhere though?
I literally just got in right before I came here.
You'll be here tomorrow.
I'll be here tomorrow.
All day tomorrow. Anybody else can be here all day tomorrow? Anybody else want to go see Hayden at his table? I think you're gonna have a long day.
It's gonna be a busy day because I'm looking forward to all of it and excited to meet all of you.
Time travel a little bit. I want to go back to as you we talked about backstage living in Toronto and LA, but I want to talk about growing up in Canada. And we just got done with the Winter Olympics, so we all know that hockey is a big part of Canadian culture, right? So how much of that played a role in you growing up? Did you play hockey?
I lived, breathed, ate hockey when I was a very young kid. I played a lot of ice hockey until I was about 16 years old. And if I wasn't playing ice hockey, I was playing street hockey. I grew up in a neighborhood where there was a bunch of kids around the same age, and so I was that kid that would go knocking on all the doors, seeing who wanted to play street hockey. That was kind of what we did, every day. That was a typical summer day. Was street hockey in the neighborhood.
Did you have any aspirations of going for maybe playing for the Leafs?
Yeah, I mean, if you asked me when I was 10 years old what I wanted to be when I grew up, I would have said captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I like this big better. But yeah, no, I played, competitive hockey. Some of the kids that I played with growing up went on to play professional hockey, and yeah, I mean, hockey and tennis. Those were kind of my tennis. Played a lot of tennis too. Yeah, but I grew up in a household where athletics was sort of a very kind of important thing, and my brother was a competitive runner. My older sister was a very accomplished athlete. So sports was a big thing in my household.
What do you think your best one is?
I mean, probably hockey. I did pretty well at tennis.
Okay.
I got, ranked. I think I was at one point top 5 in Ontario, and like top 10 in Canada for like the under 16 age categories. So I was big into tennis too.
That's insane. What team?
Plenty. That's why I act, so I can pretend.
Staying on the sports, you also got to do a bucket list item of mine, and that is, as a huge baseball fan, you got to come out the first pitch at a couple of Major League Baseball games. Blue Jays. So, what is your mindset? Obviously, you've seen like the 50 Cent, first pitches, and what is your mindset? Just not do that. Just don't do that.
No, I just want to get it across the plate, really. I threw the first pitch at the Blue Jays game years ago. That went pretty well. And then I did one at the Cubs game not too long ago. And that one was good too, but I didn't get a chance to warm up, so I was
So I'm taking your big Jays fan then?
Yeah, I'm just a big sport fan.
So is there, I guess, a stadium that you would like to do something, whether it is another person that you're whether it is some sort of performance or play, celebrity game that you would like to, something like that?
Not really. I mean, the one in Chicago was cool. That's a special field there. Yeah, I can't say that I have a bucket list stadium.
So you actually started off in the entertainment industry at a young age. What drew you to that? What was the first time that you were like, oh, this is something that I want to do?
I kind of fell into it at a young age. My older sister actually sort of got into acting first, also kind of by accident. And then I got asked if I wanted to do commercials when I was a little kid, and I politely said yes. And I think for me, really the appeal was the craft service table and the free food and just the assortment of candies and chocolates. And as like a 10-year-old kid,
yeah, her
I was
cough
like, this is
sounded
the
like
best job ever. And you get to miss a day of school here and there. So that was kind of the attraction for me at an early age. And then I got further into it. I went to different performing arts schools as a kid and started to study theater, and then kind of developed a real passion about it from there.
So it was something that you kind of said you fell into it rather than it was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, no, my parents certainly weren't pushing us towards it. My older sister was she was the junior world champion on the trampoline.
Your family were.
And so she got asked to do a Pringles commercial, the potato chips, because they wanted someone bouncing on a trampoline. So she obliged, and from there they wanted to get her an agent. And so my mom and my sister we lived in the suburbs of Toronto, and so they were driving into the city to go meet with this agency, and I asked if I could go along because the trip to the city was like a fun adventure at that age. And so I was just there. I mean, I was sitting in the waiting room at the agency, and someone came by and asked me if I wanted to do it.
What commercials did you do?
I did a Rice Krispies commercial very early on with Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
What is that?
And what else did I did a few. I did like a cough syrup commercial.
Pocket peel.
I did a few.
I'm excited for somebody to bring you a box of Rice Krispie treats tomorrow. You mentioned theater, but one of the things, another bucket list that I find performing in the West End in London. What is that experience like versus film and television? What did you learn as an actor by being on stage?
I love theater. You know, I was doing a lot of theater in high school, and in between episode 2 and episode 3, I had the opportunity to go and do this play in the West End called "This Is Our Youth." It was myself and Jake Gyllenhaal and Anna Tackman, and we had a blast doing it. What did I learn? You learn something new every night on the stage, and that's sort of the joy of, you know, acting in the theater. It's kind of a new experience every time. But you know, I would like to do theater again. It's a big time commitment.
Right, I was going to say, you did have a short stint on Broadway. Do you ever see yourself going back?
I don't know that I did a short stint.
Like a special, like a one-off.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
You're right.
See? Y'all, that was about to run off the stage.
It was like a one performance only thing.
When I say short stint, I literally mean a short stint.
Very short stint. Sorry, what was the question?
Could you see yourself going back?
One day. I get approached every now and then to do another play. But I'm a father. I have an 11-year-old daughter, and so the time commitment is
8 shows a week. That's Is there a particular role or show that could get you out there?
Ahsoka. You know, I don't know. Something fun. I played Hamlet in high school, and I always thought I'd like to go back and do that again. But I think I'm getting a little bit old for that now.
Do you prefer Shakespearean plays or music?
Well, no, neither really. I would go to Shakespeare, I guess.
Shakespeare.
Musicals are great too, but just not my lane.
Hey, there's a lot of lightsabers in here, and I think they want us to talk about the thing. So, growing up, did you watch the original trilogy as a kid?
Yeah, of course. I was probably, 13 years old the first time I saw it, but Star Wars was kind of, a part of my life from a very young age. I had an older brother, and he was big into Star Wars. So I remember he had Star Wars bed sheets, and his Star Wars action figures were like highly prized and off limits to me.
Either episode 2 or episode 3 tonight, is there a particular scene that people should be on the lookout for that maybe has either a special meaning to you, or maybe there was something going on at that time that you should like, hey, look, this was going on, by the way, look for it in the background?
Not really. If you go back and watch the films, was I in love? I was in love with all of it.
Is there, as you go back and watch, is there a favorite line that you said that still resonates to this day?
Definitely, may the force be with you. Just because it's such an iconic Star Wars line. And, I hate you! There's some good ones. All good choices. But for me, getting to say may the force be with you really just resonated with me, I guess.
Is there a favorite scene that stands out to you as well? I mean, besides maybe day one of walking on the set?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, certainly from episode 2, so much of the work I got to do with Natalie really stands out. And just the scene in episode 3 where I say, "May the force be with you" to Ewan, sort of as we're parting ways, and I think that's the last time we see those characters kind of on good terms. That scene holds a special place for me, just because I remember doing it so well. I remember the scene so well, and saying that to you just was a pretty cool thing.
In your early years, you pre-Star Wars, you appeared in episodes of Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark? Both these shows, though, for giving kids nightmares. So I'm going to ask you, Hayden, what scares you?
I thought that would sound cool. What scares me? I have a little bit of a fear of heights, I guess. That's why.
High ground.
Yeah. Just a couple of weekends ago, I was in Seattle with my daughter. I got my daughter with me, and there was a large Ferris wheel, and she really wanted to go on it. And I thought I would be fine, you know, it's like it was a completely enclosed cabin, and so I was like, yeah, let's go do it. And right away, my fear of heights came back to me, and my daughter was laughing at me.
Is there a universe outside of Star Wars universe that you would like to work in with?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I'm very happy with my involvement in the Star Wars universe, and so that's you know, that's it. That's plenty for me. But you know, I do enjoy those other franchises as well. So you never know.
I want to talk for a couple minutes about the convention. You are known, despite what the lines look like outside, you are known for spending real, meaningful time with your fans. You're not giving them like a love and shove, hey, let me just sign this and they don't want to forget. You're spending real time with them.
They are quick interactions, to
Right.
be fair. And I wish we had more time, but of course, you know, it means something to me that you guys come out and just getting to hear, you know, what Star Wars means to you, and getting to see, you know, incredible costumes you guys show up in, and you know, it all affects me. And so, of course, I take the time that I can, and I hope that it's a good experience for you guys. It's a good experience for me.
You could spend more time. In coming to these conventions, when did you realize that there was this love for Anakin? That it was, you know, that it was still there this many years later?
I don't, you know, I've always kind of felt the love, because the films have been around now for a while, and I guess I get a kick out of seeing younger children who are sort of, you know, who love Star Wars and in some way have a passion for the character that I play. That I get a kick out of that, just that these films are continuing to live on, and reaching new generations of fans. But yeah, I mean, it's Star Wars, so it's Star Wars. This has been my experience for a while now, I guess.
Is it where that most of your life has been Star Wars?
Yeah, you know. It's an incredible thing, and I do feel extremely lucky. I never could have imagined that I would get to, you know, play this character in Star Wars, and get to, you know, be a part of your lives, and be a part of something that means something to you. It's an incredible thing.
So before we wrap up, as it's literally wall-to-wall people in here, do you have any last words for our great fans here at Galaxycon, Richmond?
I'm just, you know, the turnout tonight is incredible. It means a lot to me that you guys come out and show your love for these films, and I'm just very happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and we'll take lots of pictures, and we'll sign lots of lightsabers.
Would you like to take a gigantic photo with all these people in this room?
I thought you never asked.
Hey, can you record? Hey, can you record? I'm gonna go up.
By the stage.
Marcus, you wanna go up?
Star Wars that I was aware of. And you know, I knew about lightsabers, and I knew Darth Vader's voice. Those were kind of like my first earliest memories of Star Wars. Long before I'd seen the films, and then I saw the films and fell in love with the films, and became a fan like all of you. Yeah.
Did you ever imagine yourself as you were getting into that, the acting into theater, that maybe one day in a galaxy far, far away, that you could be a part of this universe?
No, it wasn't ever something that even when I was auditioning for the films, I still never thought that this would be something that would go my way. It just seemed too big and too great.
Can you walk us through that audition process? Was it an open call? Was it something your agent said, "Hey, do this"? And were you auditioning in a giant cattle call room?
Yeah, it was a large, auditioning process. I remember getting a call from my agent, and I was 18 when I first started auditioning, saying that they had submitted me for the role of Anakin Skywalker in the next couple of Star Wars movies, and I was like, well, that's ridiculous. Is there a smaller, more attainable part or something? And my agent said, no, they're kind of seeing anyone who's within a certain age range and has blue eyes. I think that was kind of the prerequisite. And so I was like, that's cool. And it started with me meeting the casting director, Robin Gerland, wonderful lady. And I met with her, and I thought it was neat to say that I was auditioning for Star Wars. That was enough for me. And then, a lot of time went by, and I got a phone call saying that George Lucas was going to meet with a bunch of actors in Los Angeles, and if you could make your way out to I was living in Vancouver at the time, and if I could make my way out to LA, that I could be a part of this group of actors, and I think it was like maybe 50 or 60 people that were going to get to, and I was like, I would love to, I really would, but I couldn't quite justify the cost of the airfare of the plane ticket to fly out to LA, and so I kind of,
So an airplane ticket almost.
Yeah. Well, it did actually, so I didn't go. And then I got a call a couple months after that saying, you know what, we'll fly you out to the Skywalker Ranch, and if you would do that, I was like, absolutely. And so I was thrilled, obviously, and I went out to the Skywalker Ranch, and I got to meet with George Lucas, and that was, an amazing experience. And then more time went by, and then I got a call saying that I was going to screen test and audition with Natalie, and they brought a handful of actors out back to the Skywalker Ranch, and I did an audition with Natalie, and a few days after that I got the best phone call of my life.
Wow. What is more intimidating, auditioning in front of George Lucas or getting the death stare from John Madden?
Well, that needs some context.
Yes.
So when I was a little kid, like 9, 10 years old, I was a ball boy at the Canadian Open tennis tournament, and I was ball boying for John McEnroe. I forget who he was playing, and I was one of the kids at the net that would run across and grab the ball after they hit into the net, and I was a little overeager. And he hit the ball into the net, but then he wanted to go and take out his aggression on the ball, and I was very quick to the ball because I had quick reflexes. And so I got to the ball, and he didn't quite see me, so he was going to smash the ball with his racket, and pulled up just sort of inches from my head, and that was my first time on the evening news. Hit a ball boy in the head.
So Anakin as a very complex character. How did you go about, again, not having someone to focus on and learn from and get inspired from the original trilogy? So how did you carry Anakin yourself with nothing to go on except for your own instincts?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So obviously, a bunch of other characters. Obi-Wan was,
Just in terms of previous
yeah,
reference and
yeah.
what. Well, I still had some of that. I mean, I based a lot of it on Jake Lloyd's performance in episode 1. I really wanted, this Anakin to feel like just a more grown-up version of that Anakin. And so, just borrowing little sort of mannerisms and his little kind of half smile, and then also, looking to the performances of Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher and wanting to sort of give the familial aspect of the story some connective tissue and just sort of make that feel as real as possible. And so I was borrowing from these other performances, and then just following George Lucas's lead. Really, I mean, he was the one person that I was performing for, and he knew what he was doing. So I was in good hands.
For somebody like George Lucas, is it you have to stay on script? Is there any ad lib there, or is
No, you try to stay on script. I mean, he's very, very deliberate with his writing, and the way the characters talk. There's a very specific language to it. There was one scene, though, I remember, where in episode 2, Natalie and I got to set, and it's a scene where we're eating some food, having a little conversation, and he thought that this would be a good opportunity for us to improvise. And he was like, let's not, worry about the script, just, make it up, and let's see what comes of it. And Natalie and I were both kind of like, okay, well, we'll give it our best shot. But George, people don't really talk this way, so this is going to be a little bit of a challenge for us. He's like, yeah, let's just see how it goes. And some of it made it into the movie, and the rest of it was scripted.
When you were first, as you said, you got the most amazing phone call in the world. How fast did realization set in that this was a very prominent figure in the saga? Was there a heavy responsibility on you, or were you again just happy that you got this phone call and you had this opportunity?
No, I thought it was a massive responsibility. I was very aware of the responsibility, but I was excited by it, and I was up for the challenge, and just thrilled that I was being given the opportunity to bring this character to life under George's guidance.
I have a really silly question, and this is basically just because I want to know. Did you keep the Padawan grade?
I've got a few of those.
Is there anything else that you kept from set? Or are we not allowed to talk about that because the
I've got a few souvenirs. I've got a couple of lightsabers, and I've got some of the Padawan braids, and a few other little knickknacks. I've got the necklace that Anakin makes for Padme. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite set piece? Not that you ended up with, but a favorite thing that you got to use on, whether it was the lightsaber or something else. That you're like, hey, this thing is really cool.
Definitely a lightsaber. Yeah.
When did you realize that you would be donning the Darth Vader costume? was it during episode 2, or was it during Revenge, like while you were filming or reading?
Yeah, I kind of assumed actually that I would, you know, put on the Darth Vader costume at some point. And George said that, you know, obviously that happens in episode 3. And, you know, very excited to get to do that. And then when we got to film episode 3, I found out that they weren't actually planning on putting me in the suit, and because Darth Vader's, you know, physically larger than I am. And I was a little bummed about that. And so I went and I asked George Lucas, I said, would it be possible? Is there any way where I could actually be in the suit? Because it would mean a lot to me. And so he was kind enough to oblige, and they made this a suit that fit me.
What was that moment like, looking at yourself, whether it was in a monitor, in a mirror, and being like, wow, like this, I'm Darth Vader?
I guess what stands out in my mind the most was just walking out onto set for the first time and seeing people's reaction to seeing Darth Vader again for the first time in their lives. And it was a very cool thing, you know, especially back then. Bringing Darth Vader back to life really felt significant, and you could, you know, see people's eyes light up. Other people would get, you know, a little intimidated and kind of like not want to make eye contact with you. But it was a very empowering experience for sure.
Did you, besides the premiere, did you watch Revenge of the Sith in a theater at any point?
We did like a sort of a different cities around the world, and so I saw the film a few times in a couple of different languages, and that was good fun. Yeah.
Yeah, because the moment, you know, you describe where Darth Vader walks out, you know, as you're saying, if you're walking out on set, you know, that moment where Darth Vader appears on screen, the entire theater on opening night where I was at lost their mind. Is that the same? Was that the same thing? The same feeling that you saw too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what is that feeling like, seeing that on? You've seen it, you know, you know it's coming, but seeing that on screen for the very first time.
It's the coolest thing ever. Yeah. I mean, as an actor, it's your wildest dreams come true.
So I live in Orlando, and I'm a big Disney park goer. And of course, Star Wars has a big presence at the parks. What is it like for you to go to the parks, go to like Galaxy's Edge as a fan and see everything that is going on in this universe?
It's wonderful. You know, they did such an amazing job bringing Star Wars to life in the parks. You know, I've been more than a few times. I take a lot of pictures with people, and I built the lightsaber with my daughter a couple of times. And you can, and I go in there, and you know, I'm in there with other people, and they're kind of looking at me, wondering what I'm doing there. But it's great, and I hear that they're going to incorporate some of the original characters into the parking lot there.
Now, does your daughter, does she recognize your impact in the Star Wars universe?
Well, she knows I play a significant character. She hasn't seen the movies yet, really. I tried to get her to watch them a couple of times, and you know, I think it's because she knows that I play the character that turns into Darth Vader, and she associates Darth Vader as a bad guy, and she doesn't want to see her dad as a bad guy. Is my assumption. I could be off, but I took her and a friend of hers with me to when they did the theatrical re-release last year. I brought her with me to
shoot with Sam Jackson. We went to go surprise theater there. And so I sat and I watched the first maybe 20 minutes of the movie with her, and then it was getting late, it was past her bedtime, and I was about to take Count Dooku's head off, so I thought that was
Can we talk Disney parks? Do you have a favorite ride or anything like that that you like to go on?
I love it all. I really like Soarin'. Just the smells. I enjoy all of it, really. Yeah.
Now, the internet has really, over the past couple of years, has really embraced your performance. Do you have, especially, I think the one I've seen lately is the one where you're grabbing Padme's arm, or you let go, and then you're like, she says, keep your hands on, or let me go, and you've already let her go.
Oh,
yeah.
I know what you're talking about. The
Yeah,
behind the scenes bloopers.
Do you have a favorite meme, a favorite blooper, or anything from?
They all kind of make me chuckle. I don't know that I have a favorite one, but a friend of mine thinks that it's his responsibility to send me every Star Wars movie. So even though I don't have social media, I am very aware of all the different memes, and there's some good ones. I gotta say, I like it.
What was it like getting the call, text, email, whatever it was, to return to the franchise in Rise of Skywalker, and later on for Obi-Wan? Do you remember where you were at when you received?
Yeah, of course. Another great phone call to get. I was at my farm in Canada, and a dear friend of mine from Lucasfilm called me and said, first that JJ wanted to talk about his Rise of Skywalker film, and I enjoyed getting to come back and be a part of that. And then she called me again many months later to set up a meeting between myself and Deborah Chow, who directed all of Obi-Wan. And she came up to my farm, and because she's also from Toronto, and so she came up and invited me to be a part of the series, and I was over the moon. This is a character that has meant so much to me, and so to get to come back to it and do a little bit more and get to sort of explore Darth Vader a little bit more was an incredible opportunity, and to get to reunite with Ewan and swing a lightsaber with him.
Talk about swinging lightsabers. How much practice did you have to have for specific scenes? Like, was it hours? Was it just, hey, we need you to do this and we can fix it all in
No, it's a lot of time. I mean, many months to sort of get yourself back up to speed. And for me, that's some of the stuff that I enjoy the most. The filming process is incredible, and you get to work with some incredible people. But the preparation is so much fun, because you go to like a lightsaber training camp for a couple months, and you play with lightsabers. It's a pretty good job.
Now, with the physicality of some of the scenes, was there ever any injuries, or did you were you able to escape that?
No, we were okay. I mean, you get hit on like the knuckles every now and then, and that leaves a mark. I didn't have too many injuries. I injured my knee when we were doing episode 3. When Ewan and I are going to rescue Palpatine, we're battling the droids. Because when we fight, the lightsaber fights are very choreographed, and every move, is pre-planned. But for some reason, when you fight droids, they just let you have at it. And we'll CGI it in afterwards, so do what you want. because that's when I get in a little bit of trouble. So I hurt my knee jumping off this thing that I shouldn't have jumped off of. And then I injured my shoulder on the most recent Ahsoka season, just in doing the preparations for that. So yeah.
As I said, very physical. Speaking of getting in trouble, is it true that George Lucas had to tell you to stop making lightsaber sounds?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any chance that we can get an example of what lightsaber sounds?
And so you naturally do that. Like someone hands you a lightsaber, especially like a real lightsaber, and you're a real Jedi. You make the noise, and I know you would struggle with it as well. So I didn't feel quite as bad, but yeah, there was a couple of times when George would come over to me and say like, Hayden, I can see you're making the sound effects. I know this movement. You can't have that. We'll add the sound effects in afterwards.
I think they would do the exact same thing. I think anybody would. So you mentioned, again, getting that callback for Ahsoka. What was it like getting that second or third time? Was there any difference in that feeling? I don't want to say, was it expected, or was it getting?
No, it was a big surprise. Again, getting the call to be a part of Ahsoka, and I was, I was so excited. That same friend of mine from Lucasfilm called me up and said that Dave Filoni wanted to speak, and I had met him once before, and was already a big fan of his, and I knew from other people at Lucasfilm just how well respected he was. And so I got on a Zoom call with him and Jon Favreau, and they told me a little bit about the series and how they wanted, to involve Anakin in it. And I was, again, thrilled. I mean, the stuff that I got to do in that first season of Ahsoka was so much fun for me, getting to explore the Clone Wars a little bit, and that era of Anakin in his life. And to get to bring the relationship between him and Ahsoka, to life in live action, was such an exciting thing.
If you could go back and tell 18-year-old Hayden, as you're auditioning, do this, don't do that, as you're preparing for this role, is there something that you could wish you could go and tell 18-year-old self to?
Well, no, because I got the part, so.
Are there any memories that you wish that you would have taken in more during that time as things are going?
I took it all in. I mean, none of it was lost on me, just how special that experience was. I was a 19-year-old kid traveling to the other side of the world to go make Star Wars with George Lucas and Ewan and Natalie and all these incredible people. And so every day was a bit of a pinch me moment, And every time I put on those Jedi robes, I never took it for granted. So I remember it all very well. And it still lives very vividly in my mind.
If somebody was to watch, if they were to go back home